I see, what I experience, places I work, I'm gonna say 2 years, these kids are gonna be warehoused and monitored and statistically monitored, data driven mastery charter schools, for an example, and they're gonna be housed like cattle, and it's just gonna go from either you're privatized or you happen to be in a good county, or you're in a charter school, and I think they're just kind of sort of where the economy is, where the middle class is kind of getting vaporized, and it's more just low class and rich. So I think it's going to go that way with the public school system. So to me, that's the problem. Our country has just given up on public school system. I don't think they really care anymore. The care and the money is going into colleges, privatized funding, and basically counties that are affluent and have an economic background of just money. They've shown time and time again that they have support and they can support themselves and they're self-sufficient. So that's my problem.
My problem is more, I don't know. I have so many problems, but one problem is the kids basically in the public school system. They are left behind, straight up and down. That's the truth. They're left behind, and if your kid is in public school, either you picked it for your kid to be in public school, you don't have any resources to get out of the public school, or the charter schools are crowded, or your kid won't get in the charter school, and they basically is weeded out, or magnet school, and if you don't get into these schools, then you just left to be a worker or to fail. Basically, that's my problem. I have other problems, but I'm not even going to go into that. We don't have enough time.
Armand, what about you?
I want to look at the basics of it, and my experiences for teaching, especially in the city of Philadelphia. Before I get into the egregious aspects of it, I did meet a lot of great parents. I did meet a lot of great students who made my experience wonderful when I was teaching. But to focus on the other aspect of that was that there's just so many different problems that you have to start at home. First off, is that if I got a classroom of 30 students, and let's say because there's always a minority, never the majority, but I have 6 students who have absolutely no respect for the education system or education or their classmates or the teacher. They can actually handcuff the classroom from moving forward in anything. And I think that many times we have catered to these students where we bought into the concept that education is a right and is not a privilege. I was brought up from my household, and it's just my perspective from my family, my parents, and the Catholic teachers I had, Catholic nuns I had, that education was always a privilege. And as African Americans, we know it's a privilege because a couple generations back, our ancestors wasn't allowed to go to school. And anything that's given by the state can be taken away, whether it's a license, whether it's funding. So it's always a privilege, but I think people feel so entitled and it's a right that they disrespect it. And the major problem in the schools is the safety, the disrespect. I think a lot of parents don't want to send their kids to schools where they think their kid may get rolled on or not be safe. So I think we have to really address the behavior problem before anything, and that's just the culture. A lot of schools aren't better than city schools. It's just that the culture is better. You got great kids and jokesters everywhere, but the culture in many urban schools is very aggressive and disrespectful. Not all of them, but it's very disrespectful to education. So I think until we address the culture first, not the funding and not the teachers, the union, let's just address the culture inside of a classroom. I always tell people that don't work in schools because they
Yeah.
You see what I'm talking about? Just
Yeah.
take roll. I ain't asked you to deliver no lesson. I asked you to call nobody parents. Just take roll. And see them play that game on you with nobody answer when your name called.
I just lived the life you just got finished saying. I just lived that just 4, 5, 6 hours ago. What you just said, I just lived that life. And I'm not a substitute teacher, but I had to come in the classroom because the substitute teacher was having a hard time taking roll. And all the kids was there, and I had to come in and say, yo, your kids have picks. And they said, what you mean? I said, the substitute teacher that y'all had in there, for the whole week, y'all was quiet as a mouse. I can hear a pin drop on the floor. Now you got a new substitute teacher in here that y'all don't know. Y'all just straight up disrespecting her. She's screaming at the loud top of her lungs, and I'm hearing at the end of the hall. I had to walk to the classroom and had to regulate the classroom. And I'm like, wow, y'all really had picks. Y'all don't really respect this adult that been teaching retiree. Picked to come back to the school. She picked. She didn't have to. She had 100 schools to go to. She picked to come back and teach these kids. These kids don't respect her to the core. And I had to I had to actually sit there and take away recess, threaten to take away recess, gym, art for next week. Anything I could think of that they would enjoy just for them to respect that teacher. And I'm talking about 4th graders. I'm not even talking about 7th and 8th graders in high school. I'm talking about 4th graders. 4th graders. And you ask them what time it is. On an analog clock, they can't tell you.
They need the straight up numbers. They say 4:43, like 4 dash.
Exactly.
4-3.
And I'm talking about 4th grade. And they complaining to the teacher about a packet, and I looked at the packet, it was minus. Minus, and in 4th grade, we on multiplication heading to division. And y'all talking about y'all don't want to do this packet of minus? I went through the packet. I said, if y'all don't do this minus stuff, if y'all don't do this packet, if y'all don't do enough papers in this packet, y'all will not have recess. I'm going to take away your recess. Why they start doing it? You know, everybody said it's because a man is not there. That's another problem. Men. We need men in the schools. We need men in the schools that reflect the students. Because they do respect men quicker than they respect women. I can say that.
That's a real good point, because I'm not in your school, but it's like when you talking, I experienced what you said, and that has nothing to do with age. It's all about respect, and it's no respect.
There's none
for teachers. I'm a man, so when I was teaching 12th grade, and I had like maybe sometimes 40 people in my class. It was rough for me, but I was shown a certain amount of respect, just because I was a little slight aggressive, and I didn't really take no junk. And I wasn't really like, they knew I wasn't against them.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I made it work, but a lot of people, they can't make it work, and it's not their fault. They're great educators, but it's humanly impossible to really control 30 to 40 students, even if from an academic standpoint, when they're trying to educate, and say you got 7 people with questions. It's impossible to get around to each one of them and just explain everything perfectly for each one of them, because somebody's not going to get enough time. And so a lot of times, like, you have a lot of politicians bloviate on TV talking about, the funding is the problem, it's the funding. Listen, from my perspective, when I was at schools, I had lights was on. We had books. Some people didn't, but from my perspective, that wasn't the problem. I had an Eno board. I had technology. I had working computers, and and books. But the problem was that people didn't want to respect the classroom environment, and they didn't want to do any work. So when you have those children that don't want to do any work, and they're aggressive, and when you kick them out, the office send them back to the classroom, you actually lose the power.
Yeah.
Because if I kick you out the classroom, and then the office send you right back, because okay, he come back and smiling. It's like, well, he handcuffed me in my class.
He know what it is. The kid know what it is.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't got ain't no consequences to my behaviors. I can do what I want.
Well,
That's why when it goes back to what Brandon was talking about with the girl, the problem. Okay, we can agree. Okay, maybe the officer was aggressive.
Yes.
And he shouldn't have done that. Okay, cool. But it doesn't end there. You know, and I hate to say when I was growing up, because I grew up in a functional household where I had a responsible father and a responsible mother who held me accountable. But even when I said the teachers don't like me, they like, I don't care. The teacher is not there to like you. If they tell me anything about you and your behavior, I'm gonna knock your block off. And that was it. So my issue wasn't teachers or anything. It was just I didn't want to get in trouble from my parents.
Your parent, yeah.
And you know, my parents, I put myself in that girl's shoes. That would have never happened, because as soon as the teacher told me to get up and go to the classroom, I would have simply did it. You know, and not saying she deserved it, whatever happens, that's all debatable. But I remember growing up when if a teacher had told you to do something and you didn't do it, that was grounds for almost suspension, maybe expulsion. Yeah, we got to get a security guard to get you to the class. Okay, he's getting expelled today. You see, we got a security guard, but school has changed so much that was like, that's just like regular. Yeah, you know, we get the security guard in here, then grab her and get her out of there. And I was like, oh, why didn't she get up? I mean, yeah, fire him. Okay, but next time, why didn't she get up? Because the problem is, and my solution, I get to my solution now.
Okay.
My solution is every school should be a magnet school. Not just Central or Masterman or Bodine or Girls High, but every school. You set the bar extremely high. You should mimic the higher educational system. You have to apply to every college in this country. There's no just get in because I live in the same neighborhood as Temple or Penn. No, you have to apply. And then when you apply, I think every school from 6th grade on should be a magnet school, because we got enough, you know, information on you as a student that we can make an assessment about your behavior and how you were coming to school. Because it's not fair to the kids that go to Strawberry Mansion. That Strawberry Mansion has to accept everyone and their mom in that school. But then Massillon bragging about how it's the best school in the state, but they cherry pick their students. That's not fair. Lower Marion can't cherry pick their students. Only kids that can go to Lower Marion is the kids that live in Lower Marion.
Yep.
Only kids that can go to Strawberry Mansion is kids that live in Strawberry Mansion.
Yep.
But Massillon gets to everybody. That's great in school.
Yep.
And that's the problem. So why are we choosing these kids to have a, you know, organized, you know, admissions? And this school is just like a let out at a party. Yeah, everybody can. We're not carding nobody. Come on in. You know, we're not checking on one. Okay, that's why you have metal detectors at Strawberry Mansion, but not at Master.
Never lie.
Yeah, that's a mean solution, and I think that kind of like catches up. Like that's like an evolutionized response to like what's going on now. My solution, which I like yours though.
I like this.
But my solution is your problem, Armand, and my solution is nature not being nurtured. So, like, what I mean by that is these homes, these communities are broken, and you know they need to be healed. I think that's the solution, because you know, you can say, hey, you can't come here, or you know, I'm just gonna move, man. I'm gonna move to the county, so I don't got to deal with it. But it's still people. It's still people running around not getting what they need. You know what I mean? And you know, I mean, my solution may never happen, but I think it's the ultimate solution. You know, we need fathers. You know, we need the men to step up. You know, I would say it is some good brothers out here. You know what I mean? I got one right with us today. You know what I mean? Dan, you know, he take care of his, and Steve as well. But we need more black men. We need more men in general, because you know it's also white Chinese. You know, the homes are broken all over. You know, not just in black culture, and we got to get that back. You know what I mean? And if you don't, if there's no male in the home, then it's got to be a village. You know, because I grew up without my father for about half of my adolescence and teenage, but it's almost like I didn't miss it, because it was like I had an older brother. You know, I had my uncle, I had